episode 45 and we're back on the sofa and Zara's back off of holidays. I mean, how dare she leave me for a week? But she's here, she's arrived back, but more importantly, we've got Vicky from VHS Social Media with an incredible story, and we only met really recently, didn't we?
Yeah, it's probably been a month, hasn't it, maybe?
About a month.
Yeah.
Already besties, do you know what I mean? Like, everybody else. Absolutely. So, a story like that you sort of hear and you can't imagine going through it yourself. So, you got married in 2000 and...
I got married in 2021 in September. So it was the beginning of September that we chose to get married. We tried to get married previously a couple of times, but COVID cancelled the wedding. So we bought a house and did it a little bit more low-key instead, which a lot of people did around that time. And then I was really lucky to have fallen pregnant the day after my wedding.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. So I wasn't trying at all. Like it just wasn't a thing that was really in my mind. And you know, it just happened, and I had no idea that I was pregnant. Like not a clue. I was still like just living my life normally. And then I was about 7 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant.
Still exciting.
Really exciting, yeah.
Like so exciting.
It felt like a bit unreal that like we just got married and then I was having this pregnancy, and it's really hard because I think people say like you're never ready. And I don't think I was.
No.
You know, you're never ready to have a baby, doesn't matter how old you were.
And people say, it brings a number of emotions, doesn't it? It's absolutely scary.
Scary, yeah.
So scary, but exciting. It's like every emotion going comes forward, including complete and utter exhaustion and everything else.
I think it's like the shock as well. I don't know, like people can probably relate to this, but mums 100% can relate to this. But it's going from your freedom to knowing that that freedom is then not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And once that's happened, like that's it. There's no going back. That's that decision made.
Yeah.
So it took me a couple of weeks to like process that because I was still kind of in the midst of going out and kind of being a little bit carefree. I mean, I was at a gym like every day, just living my life for me. Yeah. So I was like, okay, wow, this is a big change.
It is. It's massive, but nobody talks about that, do they?
No,
like nobody wants like. And it is. Reality is that yes, of course, it's exciting, it's nice, but the reality is. My life's about
forever.
And there's no going back.
No, there isn't. And obviously we were happy and all those things, like that's not taken away from the way I felt, but I just needed that time to process it. And we did, I processed it and we were ecstatic, and you know, we were going out and we were just like buying little bits from like the supermarket aisles when we went there, just getting excited. And that's kind of like when the happiness ended for me, because that's when the chaos started. So once you know, we were getting into the pregnancy and stuff, I was continuing to go to the gym because I'm a kind of person that is like, I know how I want everything to be. And I was like, I'm going to be this really fit pregnant mom, like that you see, they're at the gym, they're working out, that's going to be me, like, because I've always worked out. Yeah, when I was going to the gym and I was only about 12 weeks pregnant, 13 weeks pregnant, I was really struggling with the gym wear. So hyperventilating, simple things that I was doing before I was really struggling up to the extreme. And I remember thinking, this can't be normal. Like,
because there is exhaustion in the but you know when your body's really struggling.
And I remember the gym teacher saying like that they knew it wasn't normal for me. So they were a bit like, what, you know, what's going on? So I kind of thought, right, there's something wrong, and my chest felt really tight, and I just felt a bit chest infection-y. So I thought, oh, I'll go to the doctors and see. So I went to the doctors and she listened and she said, I do think you've got a chest infection, I can hear something. She was like, I'm going to give you antibiotics, but she seemed concerned for some reason, but you know, she just said if it doesn't clear up, come back. She was like, I would have sent you for an x-ray, but with you being pregnant, I think let's just do the antibiotics. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
Did your gut feel like something different?
No, not a clue, no idea. So I took the antibiotics and carried on as I was, but nothing, I was just really tired, like exhausted. But not being pregnant before, I just thought, oh, okay, this is what pregnancy is, like it's really exhausting, everyone talks about that. So I thought, fair enough. And then I had been suffering with the chest, like not pains, but like this tightness, and I'd started getting this tickly cough like that. I couldn't shift, like it felt like something was there, and I could feel it right there, and I just couldn't move it. And then I went to Manchester shopping for Christmas because it was Christmas time now, and I couldn't even hold my own handbag. I was like, I can't hold it, like I'm just so tired. So my husband was like just walking around with me, and I just thought this, like, I knew something wasn't right there, or, you know, maybe I was severely anemic or something, I wasn't really sure. And then it got to Christmas Day, I managed to do, but I was asleep really early, and it was the day before New Year's Eve when I found, well, that was when it all came to head. So I was 17 weeks pregnant at this point. So I'd only really, you know, I hadn't found out for that long that we'd had this happiness, and I'd woke up in the night and I'd got this like pain, and it was really weird. Like, I don't know if you ever had a trapped nerve.
Yeah.
And it was like that in my shoulder, but it was going through into my back, and I was like in agony with it. And I said to my husband, like, I can't cope with this pain, like it's really bad. And he was like, I've had enough of this, like enough's enough. And he took me to the Haywood Centre, like the walk-in centre, and they listened to what I was saying and like did my observations and stuff. They said, listen, we are worried about this, like it sounds like it could be a blood clot, because a lot of pregnant women can get them. They were like, go straight up to A&E. So I was like, oh, okay. So went up to A&E, and it was manic. And it was coming out of the back of COVID, so there was restrictions, so my husband couldn't stay. I was kind of like on my own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was just full of people, and I was like, this is like crazy. And I was so hungry, and the time was going on and on and on and on. And like, I was just pregnant, tired, sat there, and, you know, they took ages to see me and everything.
Quite overwhelming, isn't it?
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
They did the ECG and everything was coming back abnormal. So I was like, right. So they said,
at this point, your husband's not with you.
I'm on my own at this point, just having all these tests done. So they did the ECG first. They said that's not normal. Then they were doing bloods, and they come back abnormal. So they were like, we do think that you could have a blood clot. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So they gave me an injection for the blood clot. They said, we're not 100%, but we'd rather get working on it now than leave you. And I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever. So I was keeping my husband in the loop at this point, obviously just texting him and things. And he managed to sneak in and bring me a sandwich, because he was like, I'm bringing her some food, like she's just there and she needs something to eat. So I was really hungry. And then they did an x-ray on my chest. So they put this massive thing around my stomach to protect the baby, because obviously
because of the radiation.
Yes, it's a big no-no. So they said, you know, we'll put this big thing around your stomach, you'll be okay. So I was like, okay, if I've got to do it, then I will.
But at this point, you're thinking, what is going on now? Why?
I was just, I'll be honest, I was getting that tired. It was almost like delusional. It was hours. Like I'd been awake for hours. So and I was sat on these metal chairs, like they're not comfortable. I didn't have a room. So I was just there, like, right, okay, just get on with it. Like I just want to get on with whatever this is. And then that was when they called me into this room, and I thought, this isn't good. And she said, we found something on your scan, and it's big, and it looks like a butterfly, and it's a tumour. And I was like, right. And she was like, do you want to see it? And I was like, yeah. So she put this x-ray up, and I'm not kidding you, it was massive.
Oh, really?
Massive. It was like this big dot, because obviously I don't understand scans, but I could see this thing. And it was all the way down and across. And I said, well, I mean,
I bet you were just absolutely like,
I was in
disbelief.
it was like it was happening, but not to me. So I kind of said, well, there's only one thing that creates that. And I was like, it's got to be cancer. And she kind of said, don't be silly, you're young, why would you think that? And I was like, well, what else would create something of that size?
Because that's what that would be my your initial thought is that, you know, and you'd rather somebody be honest as well, wouldn't you?
I think because the one that was seen to me at the time wasn't qualified fully in that area. She couldn't make that expert opinion. So she sat me back down with everybody else again on these metal chairs.
After telling you that information?
After telling that information.
Good, no side room.
No side room.
No husband.
No husband. So I rung him and I said, listen, I was like, I'm going to tell you, like, they found something, it's not good. I was like, this is going to be cancerous. I was like, it's bad. I was like, you need to come to the hospital. But at that time, the doctor, like someone a little bit higher up, I'm not sure who it was, called me in, and he said, listen, there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to be cancer.
Yeah.
The other 50% could be that it's an infection of this gland that you have there. And I was like, so you're telling me there's a chance that I've got cancer while I'm 17 weeks pregnant, and you're telling me on my own?
Yeah.
I was like, do you not think that my husband should be here?
They could have, and I think it's the way they deal with things sometimes, like with no compassion and understanding about what you're about to do. Do you think sometimes it's because they say it day in, day out, but for me, like,
I don't know.
there's no understanding of, just wait for a husband to come.
It's hard as well because I think maybe they couldn't believe that someone that was pregnant, like, how many pregnant people do they see with cancer? Probably not that many in their careers. So maybe they weren't, pushing towards that direction. I don't really know. But by this point, they'd realised, that I got really upset about it. So they put me into this strange little side room that they had free, and I managed to get my head down because I'd done like 24 hours with no sleep. And I was just really delusional.
And hoping to, like, you don't want to wake up and it be real, really, do you?
Exactly. So I was still holding on to the hope that that 50%
Yeah,
could just be that, that infection in this gland. So he finally came up and was with me, and they moved me into a little bit more of a high-risk area because of the COVID situation that was going on. And they sent a doctor down from the cancer ward who dealt with lymphoma. So this is the first time I'd ever heard of lymphoma. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Heard of it, but can you explain it to us?
I know, literally before this I wouldn't have a clue. So lymphoma is a blood cancer. So he was very high up in the especially in this blood cancer place. So he came to see me. So obviously whatever had happened, they passed me scans through the right doctors and they looked at it. And he came and he said, I've seen this 1,000 times. It was like, I'm 90% sure that this is lymphoma and it's cancer. So that's the first time that I've seen my husband cry. So he just absolutely broke down and sobbed, and it was really sad.
So from your wedding to finding out
17 weeks is it?
and makes me emotional
It
thinking
does.
about it.
When I go back to that moment, it's really hard for me because he was so upset about it. I'd seen him so sad and he couldn't do anything to help us.
For you,
for me as well,
sad for yourself, aren't you? Because you get married, you get pregnant, and at no point do you ever expect somebody, it's your age or our age, to say you've got lymphoma, and it's about how do you pick yourself up out of that? How do you then take one step in front of the other?
I haven't got a clue at the time. He just said to me, can I do an examination of your body? And I said, yeah. So he started checking where your lymph nodes are. So you've got them like in your neck, your armpits, you have them in your groin. So he was like doing a good check of me, and he found this side I'd got a swollen lymph node. Now I'd completely missed it, and it was about that big.
Oh really?
Yeah, in my neck here, so right here, in my neck, this lump, and it was kind of in my collarbone. But I missed it, completely missed it, which is even worse because I just was not in tune with my body whatsoever. And he was kind of relieved that he found it, and he said it's really great that we found it because we can biopsy this rather than trying to deal with this because being pregnant put a lot of restrictions on what they could do with me. So he was seeming really happy about this, in the doctor world it must have been exciting that they could deal with that rather than deal with it.
Your words falling apart.
That he doesn't have to deal have to deal with
I suppose
this.
for you it's easier to biopsy there than to go.
They wouldn't have wanted to do it. It would have been very invasive or whatever. So that was that. He was honestly like the light of that day. He just looked at me and he said, we've done this before. Like, I have known somebody else who's had this cancer while they were pregnant, and yet they're fine.
You needed that.
You need that reassurance at that time.
And that was it. I got taken into the cancer ward that day then, and they tried to keep me in, and they said, you're really high risk, like there's all these things going on, you need to stay in. And I said, no. It's New Year's Eve. you're not going to see me until after the weekend,
Need
after
some
New Year,
normality.
Yeah.
and need some normality.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sat in there. Who am I going to be with?
Yeah.
No one. Like, I said, no, I'm not doing it. So they reluctantly let me go home.
Sometimes you have to stand your ground with them, don't you?
I mean, it's my life. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was the one with this terrible news. I just needed to go home, be at home, be with my cat,
Yeah.
be in my house, and process what had happened. And then it just kind of like snowballed from like tests, doctor appointments, you know, different things, making sure that the cancer was what they thought so that they could treat it with the right treatment.
Yeah.
There was no mistakes to be made while I was pregnant. They had to make sure that it was all 100% right,
Yeah.
because they couldn't risk it. But once I'd had the biopsy on my neck, which they had to do while I was awake when they were being pregnant, and I am a drama queen,
I must be a
they had to get an industrial fan to blow air on me because I was like sweating and hyperventilating. And there was loads of people in there just looking at them rooting around in my neck, and you could feel it, like them tugging, and you could smell the burning from them burning it out. And I'm really squeamish.
Yeah.
So I was just like, this is not for me. Like, it really isn't. And my husband was allowed in. They started getting really sympathetic once they knew what it was.
Yeah.
And they let him stay in, and he was having a good look.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like randomly having.
He was in there
on
like,
the
looking
team.
at what was going on. He was like, oh, it's really interesting. And I was like, okay.
Can we not talk about it?
Yeah.
Just keep it to yourself.
Just keep it to yourself.
I can feel them rummaging.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But once that was dealt with and the results came back, there's two types of lymphoma. So there's a Hodgkin's lymphoma and a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and one's more curable than the other.
Yeah.
So when we had the waiting game of finding out, am I going to have the chance of being cured, or is this going to take my life?
Yeah.
And them 2 weeks,
And what is that? I can't imagine.
2 weeks.
the worst 2 weeks of my life.
Like, how
Oh,
do
I
you?
wouldn't be able to get out. I'd be on floor.
I didn't
No.
do anything.
It's like your life's in the balance, isn't it? Almost in somebody else's hands. Of
Yeah, it was weird, hard, awful. We just didn't really do anything. Time just stopped. We just,
your life has just stopped, but you've still got this baby. You're
Yeah.
still growing this baby.
and all I kept thinking is this baby is going to be born and I'm not going to be able to see it. Like, obviously I'll see you, but not for long.
Yeah.
You're not going to know me.
And
And
all
that's what I
them,
kept saying.
them
Yeah.
thoughts will go through your head, don't
All
they?
the time.
Yeah.
It was awful. And I'd finally got the appointment to go in to find out, is this going to be curable or not? And it was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I just, we
Absolutely
just
incredible.
sobbed. And, you know, it was not 100% guarantee I was getting cured, but I've got a good chance at giving it a good go.
Yeah,
And that was enough for me. Once I'd heard them words, that was it.
you were ready.
My mindset switched, and I was
Yeah.
like, it's gone from really upset to this is what I need to
Let's
do
get on
to
with it.
get better,
Yeah.
and this is what I'm going to do to get better.
Yeah.
So we went, and my treatment started pretty much straight away, and I did have to have chemotherapy while I was pregnant. Unfortunately, there was no other chance, because this was at this point 17 centimetres by about 6.
Really?
Wow.
And obviously, as you grow a baby, your organs get pushed up, and there was going to be no room.
Yeah.
So they had to just get on with it.
Yeah.
So I did 5 rounds of chemotherapy pregnant, gave birth, and then went back and completed the 7. So I did 12 in total.
What an incredible woman.
Wow.
To grow a baby whilst in the midst of chemotherapy.
Yeah.
That
I didn't even think
that is
would
something
be.
else, isn't it? Because I bet you talking about it must be quite difficult and like actually like reliving it sometimes. Like, do you ever wonder how you got through it?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
how
All the
you
time.
went through all them things and
All the time. It's really hard thinking about it, because it didn't end there. So
No.
my treatment didn't end and everything was great. Like, that's when things started going really wrong for me, and that's when I struggled the most. Once I'd done, so I was getting to the end of the 5 rounds of chemo, and I was getting this big bump, and going up to the hospital, sitting with people that are having chemotherapy, and I was there pregnant. This guilt, awful,
I really
started coming really bad, yeah. So like the last 2 that I did before he was born, I was crying before I went, because I would say like, I feel so guilty that I'm having to do this, you know, and I'm growing and people are looking at me and, you know, they probably weren't judging me, but I felt that.
And what did you feel guilty about?
Putting all them chemicals in my body while I was pregnant with this
Yeah.
baby. And I just wanted to get him out so that I could do it without him being in my body.
Yeah.
And I think we've become that protective
Yeah.
lovely instinct, isn't
Oh,
it, naturally
yeah.
when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And no matter what anybody says to you, they are natural feelings that are going to come and arise, but
You can't help it.
you can't help it.
No.
But it's horrific because you feel like it's happened in, you know, you haven't done it, but you feel responsible, don't
Yeah,
you?
it's that choice, isn't it? You've got no choice
I
to
had no
do.
choice.
Yeah,
It's what you
it's
have
that
to-
sort of.
You know, it happened and
And prior to that, I was a bit like, you know, oh no, I'm not going to take any
Do
paracetamol.
this.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to do this while I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then I was like, great, now I've got to go and do all this while I'm
Yeah.
pregnant.
But again, that's a choice that, you
Yeah.
know, they say like don't eat
You
fish, don't
Yeah,
eat that
this,
fish,
that, and the
don't eat
other.
this.
Yeah.
And you choose not to do that, but
you've got
for
no-
this,
to
I
save
had
your
no
life,
choice.
no
It
choice.
saved both of
to
our
be
lives.
there for him now.
Because I was only 17 weeks pregnant, so they couldn't have induced me.
No.
Or, you know, brought him out so I could have my treatment.
Mm.
He had to stay in.
So in them times of feeling guilty is actually, you did it for
I
both
did.
of you.
They were surprised how well I did. They were preparing me for him to be born. They kept wanting to get to like the 20, 22 week mark, something like that. I can't remember. There's
Yeah.
like a point where they have a better chance of survival.
Yeah.
And they kept wanting me to get to that point because they were prepared to have to deliver that baby at all these stages just in case we weren't coping with the chemo.
Yeah.
But because we were, and I was doing so well, and he was doing so well, that I've got to carry on. And I remember thinking, the only reason that I'm managing to do this is because I've kept myself healthy prior to this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
being fit and
absolutely.
healthy didn't save me from getting cancer. Being fit and healthy helped me to cope with the cancer
Yeah.
treatment and having cancer in general.
Mm.
So there's benefits.
And your mindset as well. Do you think
Yeah.
your mindset matters? You know, when you said that it switched when you
Yeah.
found out, you know, it was curable. It's that mindset of actually now what have I got to do to save us both?
Yeah, and it was a determination that I kept the whole time. And I remember really funny, well, it's not funny, is it? And most people would feel this way, but the first thing that I thought is, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my hair.
And that's a natural reaction, isn't it?
And it's quite laughable, really, because that's minuscule in terms of the
Yeah.
whole thing that was going on.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you, every woman that's being told that they've got a chemotherapy, and you know,
It is
it is a thing.
Yeah.
You think about it straight away, and I
Yeah.
thought,
Absolutely.
I don't want to lose my hair.
No.
So prior to the cancer, I was a completely different person. I had blonde extensions. I was very blonde, very into the gym, very me. And that was how I was, and my identity was being stripped from me without me agreeing to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which must feel really tough.
It was really tough, and
Yeah.
that was the thing I struggled with the most. So they gave me the option for a cold cath. Have you ever heard of one?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it involves.
Horrendous, worse than the actual chemotherapy itself.
Oh, really?
Yes.
As in painful
Vile.
or just
So-
really?
You wet your hair, put conditioner on your hair. So spray it, dampen it, put your conditioner on. They put what reminds me of, it looks a little bit like a brain
Yeah.
on top of your head. And then they put like a swimming cap on top of that, which pulls that then really tight. And it's got tubes, it hooks up to a machine and water fills this cap. And then it freezes it.
Oh,
So it freezes
like
it
brain freeze.
minus whatever. It's frozen to my head, like it's frozen. And that helps to freeze
Stops
your
the
hair
follicles.
follicles, which stops the cancer from getting to your hair follicles.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Now, it's not 100% guaranteed that you're not going to lose your hair, but you've got a good chance.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll give it a go. And I remember the first day they put it on, I don't like the cold.
I
hate the cold.
I can't even stand
I
ice
can't,
cream
no.
when I get brain freeze.
And when your
so
hands
cold.
are cold, horrendous. Like the whole thing, awful. I hate cold
every
shower.
point you're being pushed out.
I've been
the cold.
punished.
Yeah. Like
Punished.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is torture, this is.
Yeah.
So I sat there and I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. Then it started freezing. I was like, this is really bad, really bad. And I said to my husband, because he came to the first chemo with me, I said, I can't do this, I'm going to have to get it off. And he was like, come on, Bet, you can do this. And I was like, okay. So they got me a hot cup of tea. I was sat there with this towel. And after 20 minutes, it was fine.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
because
Yeah.
it's that initial.
I got used to it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, like, I can do this then. So I did it. And then you have to sit on it for an hour before and an hour after. And my treatment was about 6 hours. So you're talking 8 hours sat in this freezing cold thing on my head. So I did it. I did it for the time I was pregnant. I was fine. I didn't have any chemo side effects. I had nothing. I was just going back to work the next day like normal.
Oh, really?
Totally normal.
Amazing.
Yeah. When I gave birth, it all changed.
Oh.
Yeah. So they say that babies protect you.
Yeah.
And they give you like good things.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
So he
incredible.
protected me the whole time I was pregnant. But when I gave birth to him was when I got the full brunt of the chemo and the Colga.
Really?
Really bad, yeah.
That's incredible, isn't it? Your baby is
Yeah,
protection, looks
Amazing.
after you.
amazing.
And do you know, like, it's all, like, as horrible as it sounds, like, you did it with him and he protected you in them hard times, and it's absolutely incredible. I mean, like, really incredible.
How
Like.
many weeks was he born at?
So-
How long did they?
He was born at 35 weeks. I
Oh,
was booked in
that's-
for a section. I was booked in for a C-section maybe a week or so later,
Yeah.
and my waters broke naturally.
Oh, okay.
So I gave birth naturally, because originally they were against it because of me pushing and
Yeah.
having a tumour
Yeah.
was dangerous.
Mm.
But once my waters had broke and he was making his own way, they kind of said like, how well you've done, we really think you can do
Yeah.
it. And I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I said, just let me do it. So I did, and he was born, and he was small, he was £5.5, but he was prem.
Yeah.
And they did say that the chemo could make him a bit smaller.
Mm.
But I don't think it was a bad size for
No,
him.
not really,
no.
not for that.
No.
Unfortunately, did have to spend 2.5 weeks, nearly 3 weeks in the intensive care unit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wasn't regulating his blood sugars because he was so small and prem. And I think, to be honest, they were being overcautious because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
of the situation.
And you don't mind that, do you? You'd rather
No.
be overcautious.
Yeah.
than
At the
anything
time,
else.
it was the worst thing that ever happened to him in my life.
Mm.
Him being in the intensive care unit was the hardest thing for me ever. Because I was thinking, I've done something to
Yeah.
him.
It's that.
It's
Yeah.
that guilt again. I've done something to my baby. I kept thinking, I was thinking the worst things. Everything they found, I kept thinking they were going to come tell me he got cancer.
Yeah.
And that was when I realised I'd started suffering with, I'd obviously got trauma. And
Yeah.
it was obviously very traumatic, and I wasn't dealing with them feelings.
Mm.
And it can spiral at that point.
It did
too.
spiral.
Or
Yeah.
did it really spiral?
Really bad, yeah. Yeah. So it started spiralling then. And the whole time they were saying, you know, there's help and there's support, do you need some? No, I don't need it. No, I'm fine. And I carried on as I was, you know, and I was fine. Kind of, was I? I don't know. In my head I thought I was,
Like
clearly I wasn't.
You run off adrenaline sometimes.
I was running
don't
off
you?
adrenaline.
Yeah.
And sometimes the issue is, and I've said it before, is we run off this adrenaline and then it's when we stop and we crash.
Yeah.
And reality hits, because the more we run on adrenaline, we don't have to deal with it.
That's better for me.
That's
Mm.
better.
That's how I work.
And yeah, and then at the point that things slow down, we hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And it's a place I wouldn't wish upon anybody. And it's a really horrible place.
It's the worst. I did hit it rock bottom,
Yeah.
but not straight away. So once he was in the intensive care unit, I kept thinking he was going to get cancer, and I'd started with this, you know, this strange mum thoughts that you get, which I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about until I'd had a baby. Like my husband, don't drop him on his head was the first one.
Mm.
While he was in the intensive care unit, constantly, don't drop him. He was like, well, I wasn't thinking dropping him on his head.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it was like
Thought
a thing constantly was in me, like he's going to drop him on his head.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop. And he was like, I'm not, but okay.
Trauma responses.
Yeah.
So once he came out of the hospital anyway, and he was totally fine, you know, there was nothing wrong with him, he was fine. And we got into normal life. I was okay then again, and I'd gone back to my treatment then again, because I had to go back pretty much straight away. But things got really tough then, because all the chemo side effects started affecting me, the sickness, the constipation, all of it, and it was horrendous, really bad. And I couldn't get out there the next day. My husband had to start having time off work to help me with the
Yeah, with
baby.
the baby,
Got a new
yeah.
baby, and I was trying to look after him while all this
And
stuff
then
was
you
going
feel
on.
bad again because you're
Yeah.
not showing up the way you'd want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I started getting mum guilt that way.
Then you spiral again.
So, and then I struggled with the cold cat then, and I kept just counting off the time, thinking, come on, you're nearly there. And I didn't lose one hair off my head while I was pregnant. Not one. They could not believe it. Every time I went to the hospital, have you lost any hair yet? No. Can we not talk about it? Have you lost it? No. They're like, is that still your hair? Yes. I was like, can we just give it a rest? Like, I don't want to talk about it. I feel like I've been jinxed. Yeah. I mean, my eyelashes thinned and my eyebrows thinned. And my eyelashes was traumatic because I don't know, but I'm not very, like, I'm better when I'm putting mascara on or whatever.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
hated it. I was like, my eyelashes dead then. Anyway, that was like minor, wasn't it? And then my hair, once I'd gave birth and I was going back to chemo, did start coming out.
Again,
So, again,
those babies.
no baby in the belly, so hair started coming out, so I was brushing it. I know you can lose hair when you've had a baby anyway, but it was coming out a lot.
Yeah.
And it was filling my hands, and I was saying to my husband, like, I'm going to be bald soon. Like, it's coming out, this is it. But I managed to get to the end of the treatment, and I'd say 80% of my hair.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So it thinned, and I'd started getting like quite a bald patch here,
Yeah.
and it had thinned a lot, but I'd got hair.
Yeah.
I'd got hair that I could do something with.
Yeah.
So I did it. So I thought, you know what,
Absolutely.
that's
Amazing.
fine, I can
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah.
And then I remember when it was my last treatment, I don't know if you've ever heard of a PICC line,
Yeah.
but they put them in so that they can administer your treatment because it's basically, it feeds through your vein and goes to the top of your heart. Because chemo is so painful to your veins that your small veins can't cope with it. Whereas when they do that, you don't feel it. So originally, me being me, I was like, I'm not having a PICC line. You're not giving me a PICC line. Like, it's just me all over. No, I'm not having one. They were like, fine, you don't have to have one, give it a go. Give it a go. I'm not kidding you, I fell on my arms, I'll blow off. Yeah. I was like, I need that PICC line. So I tried so hard, but it was so painful. It gave me like, almost like nerve damage.
Oh, really?
And it was throbbing, and I was like, I cannot do
Yeah,
that.
that PICC line in.
Yeah, so I
yeah.
rung the lady who was looking after me. I was like, Zoe. She was like, yeah. I was like, I need that PICC line. She was like, I thought so. It's fine. Just come in. So it was me just being in denial again and thinking that I could just do these things, and I couldn't. So I had it put in anyway, and that was that. It was one of them things stuck in my arm, and I covered it up the whole time because I just didn't want people asking me what's that.
Yeah.
And then it comes to the last treatment and they have to take it out that day. So they were like, yeah, we can take the PICC line out. And I was like, oh no, I'll just come back for that tomorrow. Because I knew that they were going to have to pull this line through my arm. And it was under your skin like a fish hook. So you could always feel it moving. It wasn't pleasant. Like, you could always feel it moving and catching. And I knew what they were going to do, and I thought, no, not today. So I was like, oh no, we'll just be okay, I'll come back for that. And they were looking at me and they were like, no, you're having it done now. I was like, I'm not. They were like, you are. So it took 3 of them to convince me to have the PICC line taken out right there and then, yeah.
Otherwise, you still have it in.
Otherwise, I'd still have it in.
You're not taking that. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think it's a thought of somebody taking it out into
You would think after all that would be like nothing. No, I was still like, please, can you just give me another day with it?
So how was your mental health at that point then?
Not too bad. It wasn't until, not that day, it wasn't too bad, because remember, I'd gone straight back into power mode again.
Yeah.
So I'd had that little break while Gabriel was in and I was struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Then I was straight back into chemotherapy, got to get myself better. So again, I was distracted. Rung that bell, we finally got to ring that bell, and I was a little bit guilty about that. Because I used to think that all the people are going to hear me ringing this that are never going to get a chance to ring it themselves. And that's hard.
It's hard, but you did it.
I did, and I
you
did
needed
ring
to
it.
take that moment
Yeah.
of your bravery, your strength.
Yeah, I did it for Gabriel as well.
Yeah.
You know, and Craig was there, my husband, with Gabriel and his little front carrier. And I was there, and we rung this bell, and all the nurses were crying because they got so invested in.
Yeah, you get to know
The
them as
story.
well, and you know, to be pregnant and have cancer, you know, and to overcome it and be
It's
able to
unusual.
ring that bell is incredible.
It was. It felt amazing. And I was there with my conditioned, flat to my head hair, because don't forget I'd just been sat with the cold cap on and I'd rung the bell. And then I thought, that's it. My life, it's back. Like, I can go back to myself. No, that didn't happen.
And what's strange is Charles, who had cervical cancer, came on. She said life post-cancer is the hardest
It was
part.
the worst.
The hardest part.
It was, and I didn't anticipate it. So prior, obviously I was blonde, going to gym, doing all these things. I had to stop dyeing my hair completely because it could encourage it to fall out, and we're trying to do everything to prevent the hair loss.
Yeah, you've been through that cold cut.
Done that, not doing it. I just leave the hair alone,
Yeah.
it's kind of the vibe.
Yeah,
Even like washing it was a little bit like, oh,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
of
do too much of that, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I'd lost that part of myself, so I had to go darker, back to my natural colour. So I'm not upset about that now, but at the time I was like, hang on a minute, like I don't want that, like I'm still clinging on to this girl that's just got married with the blonde hair, like I know I'm not that girl now.
And that's hard.
Yeah. Now I'm this girl that's just had a baby, so I look a bit different. I've now got different coloured hair. I've had this thing in my arm, I've had this out my neck, and I was like, I can't go to gyms. Like it was just a lot, and
Because you feel them emotions without the cancer as a new
mum
mum.
anyway.
So not only have you got the vulnerabilities of becoming a mum, which is a lot,
Yeah.
you've got that added pressure of my life's not only changed as a mum, but as a
Whole.
whole, I am a whole different person.
And it was really hard, and that's what hit me the hardest, I think. And you know, I hadn't really had time to process being a new mum at all.
No.
So I think all the new mum vibes came after the treatment had ended.
Yeah.
So it was August, end of August when I rung the bell. Gable was born in May. So what's that? May, June, July, August. He was like 3 months old. I hadn't had anything.
Yeah.
So I'm not kidding you. I rung that bell. The next day I woke up and we went to like the local shop and we went for something to eat. I felt terrible. I felt just not myself, like my mind, everything was just a mess. Like I just couldn't process things properly. And we were sat in the pub around the corner from my house and we were talking to this gentleman who'd got this story about how he looked after his daughter because his wife suffered with mental health. And it was like a trigger. It was like a bomb had gone off in my head, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I kept thinking, I'm going to suffer with mental health, not going to be able to look after Gabriel, who's going to get taken off me.
Yeah.
Don't know why. And that was it. It spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
It went out of control. So it went from that thought to what if I harm him?
Yeah.
What if it just kept repeating itself. And I was like, what is this? What is going on? I just couldn't understand what was going on.
Scary.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything to anyone because I didn't dare, like I didn't want to say anything. And my husband went away for work for 2 nights. And I was left obviously alone with Gabriel, and that was it. I couldn't do it. This anxiety and the feeling and all these weird thoughts that I kept getting, which now I've done more research, a lot of mums get anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously I hadn't got a clue what was going on. So I rang him and he had to come back from his course and he was far away. And I was a mess, like really bad. And
Was it postnatal depression?
no, it wasn't. I didn't feel depressed. I actually was just suffering with really bad intrusive thoughts.
It's intrusive.
And it's from like, it can be from a trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously the trauma triggered it, but it all centred itself around my son. Now, I've talked about this story a lot to people, but I've never actually told the full story until today. And it's been really hard for me to tell people that I did suffer really bad with intrusive thoughts. And it's upsetting to me now to think about it because it was really hard.
But
It was the hardest thing, harder than the cancer. I would do the cancer all over again and do that again. And
mental health is really scary.
mental health, the worst.
And I
would take physical health problems over mental health problems any day, and I've never had mental health problems before. So once that had all aspired, and I'd just get in a hole deeper and deeper, I wouldn't get out of bed, and I wouldn't leave my bedroom, and my husband was having to have time off work, and my mum was having to come up and take shifts with him. Now, my mum's not well herself, like my mum's got cancer, she was diagnosed in 2019. So we were going for cancer treatment together at one point, we were both in the chemo ward, having chemo together. Like they'd say, mum's in pod 4, and I'd be like, hi mum. Like,
really?
yeah, so all that stuff, so much from one person.
Yeah.
But my mum stepped up and she helped, and luckily it went on for 2 weeks until I'd had a really bad breakdown, and I said to my husband, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like I can't carry on. Like I've fought so hard to be here, and now this has happened.
And in that moment of not wanting to be here, so for me last year I reached a place where I didn't want to be here, and you just want to escape it, don't you?
Yeah,
I just thought
this will go away now.
It doesn't matter because I've had enough.
I've had enough. I can't take these thoughts anymore. I've had enough.
And I get it.
And once I had told him that, he said, we need to go to the doctor, so we did. And I was a mess, like I was just sobbing. And they referred me to the local crisis team, and they were amazing, like these two ladies. And they were like, you know, you've been through so much, it's not surprising, like you've carried on, like you're fine.
Absolutely.
You know, you've not had any help. And that put me on the path then to seek the right help.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of research myself because I'm a very determined person. I'm not like, I don't feel very well, let's wallow. I'm like, I don't feel very well, what can I do about it?
Yeah.
Like, I love life, so what can I do to make myself feel better and get back to my life quickly?
Yeah.
That's
Also,
how
it's
I am.
scary
Yeah.
in the midst of feeling that low that you can't even see that light.
No, I couldn't see
And
it.
that's what's quite scary,
I
is
couldn't.
when you're in that place of actually, I don't know how to get out of this.
Yeah, I
and-
didn't, no.
and how to take one step in front of the other. And it's trauma as well, isn't it? It's like post-traumatic stress
Yeah,
as
I've
well.
not dealt with the trauma properly yet.
No,
No.
but that takes time.
I'm not ready. I'm 3 years cancer free in August. I'm not ready to deal with it still. Like, I'm just not, like, it's too much.
And that's okay. And it's accepting that actually, when you feel ready, you will do it. You've been through something that not many people will experience, but you're still here and you're still living your life to the full.
I am.
And you know, you've got your little boy, and incredible news that you're expecting a little girl. Can we just put that out there?
So after, obviously, I said I would never have any more children because of the struggle that I went to with the intrusive thoughts and things like that. I just thought there's no way that I can have another child. But once I'd got onto the right medication and started seeking the right therapy, I could see the light again with the right support from my family. I could see the light again, and I'm not 100% there.
And
I never will be.
and
And I
that's
still
okay.
have days where I'm struggling with dark thoughts, but I'm so much better than I was that I've been open to obviously having another child. And I'm lucky enough to have had the same experience with Gabriel. Didn't have to try and got caught the first time, and it's a girl. So I feel like that's fate's way of sending me a little best friend.
Yeah.
And do you know what, like, what an incredible woman. Like, I know you talk about Gabriel and your husband, and they are incredible, but you have to take some credit in your journey of being where you are today. The strength, the determination to reach rock bottom, and I get it, it's horrific.
It was worse.
And mental health is really scary, like, you know, and you seek the right help, and what I like is that you're dead real. It's like, we can't show up every day perfect, you know, and trauma is massive. You're going to have your days where you're on the floor, and you're going to have your days where it's okay. But it's accepting that, isn't it? And it's validating that, actually, do you know what? I aren't perfect, and on some days I can't show up. And I don't think you give yourself enough.
No, you don't.
No.
And I think that's the thing. I've always lived my life like this needs to be perfect. Like I said, I always know where I want something to look. Every party, the colours, the cake, the blindness, the balloons, it's all me. Like even my own birthday, I control.
Yeah.
Because I've always had that element of I know that I want everything to be perfect.
And then you've lost all
And then I
control.
lost all that control. And now it's learning that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be in control and just to have a day where you're okay and a day where you're not. That's fine, you know. And
I have days where I'm absolutely like, can take on the world, and then the day after I can be absolutely on the floor in the midst of healing and dealing with, you know, grief and trauma. But I'm so accepting of that, and I think
acceptance is the word.
Yeah.
it is acceptance, and it's acceptance, and this is why I do the podcast, is to talk about real life, and real life is that nobody's got the shit together. Mental health is a scary thing.
It is very scary, and no one can. You can't really see it, can you? So it's very hard. Like, and some people don't get it either. Like, I still find. I know it sounds really crazy because we're in 2025, but there's still quite a lot of ignorance around mental health and
Very ignorant.
You know, like, well, because you're actually not in control of all your thoughts.
No.
You know, you do get thoughts that come in and out. And people don't understand that, and they just think, you know, you just make it awful, whatever.
Or just, you can stop that.
You can just
flow.
stop that,
And
I'm
that
like, it
sounds
doesn't work
absolutely
like
great.
that. Yeah, I wish that was the thing.
God.
If
My
that
husband
was-
would be very much like, what are you thinking like that for? Because I had the intrusive thoughts as
Yeah.
well
It is
around
horrible.
my
Yeah,
children.
it's vile.
And he was like, don't be stupid, don't be. I mean, he wasn't supportive at all. But I think it is that ignorance of, it's like you've not got control of it.
You haven't.
You've just not.
You just
it's
don't
not.
because, and it goes against your ego as well, like your
Yes.
egotistical state and whatever. Like it's a polar opposite to who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's the what it plays on the words.
Yeah.
Luckily, I am so lucky that I have had that support from my husband.
Yeah.
He gets mental health because he suffered with it himself.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I could tell him anything that I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
The
is good.
wildest things, and
Mhm.
he'd just be like, "Right, okay, well, it's just a thought."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
And it's not like a for him. It's like that's okay.
So was your,
and-
was your therapy CBT?
Yeah, I did. I've done
in the book?
CBT,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I liked, but it only got me to a certain point, and then I tried hypnotherapy,
Have you?
and I really like it. Again, this would have been old Vicky would have been like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
New Vicky's like, "Yeah, let's try this," and it's
Absolutely.
lovely, and it talks to sort of your subconscious.
Yeah.
And so it puts some very positive things in your mind, and they always say like go to bed and think about 3 positive things that happened in the day, so you're sleeping with them thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's lovely, and I think let's stop focusing on the negative and start focusing on the positive.
Yeah.
But as I am today, 2025, totally different person than what happened. I'll be 3 years cancer free in August. I've just got to get there, obviously. And my life's changed completely. I've accepted it now, it's fine. You know, I'm not the same person. I'll never go out partying to the same level that I did. I don't have the same friendship group anymore.
No.
We've all parted ways, you know, and that's absolutely fine.
Fine.
It's
Yeah.
fine, you know, I'm not
Some things fall apart for new
things,
things
yeah,
to come.
and I've changed and I'm happy and I like who I am now and I wouldn't want to go back to pre-cancer Vicky. This is the person I am now and I want to be this person.
Yeah.
So I
I
don't
love that.
I don't change, I don't want anything to change.
And it feels like life 2025, babies coming,
Yeah.
you know, your little boy's going to have a sibling, and yeah, what an incredible, and you'll inspire so many people because I think, you know what, a lot of it's to do with mindset, the way you handle it, the way you bounce back. Your raw honesty, I absolutely love because people will relate to it so much, is that, you know what, I think trauma, people don't talk enough about how trauma impacts us, how trauma impacts our brain. I remember having the boys and my trauma of losing my dad came up massively.
It's really strange.
It's
isn't it?
really strange
Yeah.
because I'd lost my dad and then somebody handed me Oliver and I was like, I'm going to lose him.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's really weird.
And the intrusive thoughts were coming
Yeah,
because I was
yeah.
like, well, if my dad can be taken, then he can be taken
Because
as
you
well.
love them, don't you, so much.
Yeah.
It's like, and no one can explain it until you're a parent. You know, people say it, you're just a bit like, okay, 'cause
Yeah.
you're not a parent yourself.
Yeah.
Then when you become a parent, that feeling that you have is like, whoa, it's way too much for one person to cope
Yeah.
with. And like I said, I just kept waiting for him to say he's got cancer. Even now, like sometimes, like if I see something on him, I'm like, what's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You can
know,
still have
It
that.
still will be there.
Yeah.
And you know, I do think that's quite normal, and I've accepted that.
Yeah.
It's okay to have
Managing
these feelings and managing them. Like you have worries as a parent anyway, and they have subsided massively compared to what they were. They might come back up when I have this next
And
baby,
that's okay.
and that's okay too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm prepared for it this time, and I'll accept the help that I'm
Yeah.
being offered
That you're
this
being-
time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you can see that difference as well in yourself since you've had the help.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that is where people struggle, isn't it? Asking for help,
It's not-
especially
it's
when
not-
always been this sort of
Fact, yeah.
independent sort
But it
of.
doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong.
No,
Absolutely,
strong.
and to be-
Asking for help
I would
is
say to be a good parent
Yes.
is to ask for the help and not sit in the depths of it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to ask for the help and not think you're going to be judged by that as well, because are they going to take my children away?
That was hard as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is a thought
Yeah.
to in people's head. But I just always say, for the people families that I work with sometimes, is that makes you a really good parent by choosing to say, I'm not well,
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
need help.
I need help.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it'd be nice if there was more support mentally for mums and stuff after, you know, they give birth.
So
And I
Mother's
think we should
Mind,
talk about it more.
I've got Mother's Mind who help, I've become a volunteer with them, who help with postnatal depression.
Great.
They do groups, work with these families, like the mums, and offering a safe place for them to talk.
Yeah.
And to know that it's okay. And I think that's dead important.
It
isn't
does. It takes the power out of it when you know that there's other people that suffer the same thing.
Yes.
And when you talk
Yeah.
about it, it takes the power away from
Yeah.
them thoughts because you see it for what it really is,
Yeah,
which is just
absolutely.
nonsense.
So VHS social media came about. I do apologise, I called it VHS media yesterday.
That's okay, I do forgive you.
Will you forgive me just today?
Yeah.
Thank you. So did that come about from?
Yeah. So it's like a very big whirlwind, but when I had obviously got the cancer and I was pregnant, I couldn't really work the same because COVID was around and it was all like a little bit like, oh, you've got to be really careful. So an opportunity came up to work in the social media team in a baby store that I'd been working in for quite a long time. And I'd always helped out a little bit with the social media team and stuff like that and loved it. So I said, you know what, go on then, like let's do it, why not? And so I stepped into this role and I thrived in that role. I loved it. So it was social media marketing. So I was basically just selling products through social media, selling the services through social media. But because I was having a baby, it was gold. Because I could connect to the target audience. Because I was the target audience because I was having a baby. So it all made sense. And I did that for quite a while. And do you know what? That did pull me out of a lot of the darkness because it gave me something to focus on. And I met a lot of really nice mums and things through there. And I had a really nice work community as well. So that really helped me. And I did go back to work, not to full capacity, but I was doing stuff when Gabe was tiny baby. I mean, he was coming in.
It gives you a purpose sometimes.
Yeah, it gave us a purpose. And he was coming in with me doing the videos.
That's cute.
So he was there, little tiny Gabe in these car seats and stuff, and it was perfect. And I did that for, I did that all the way up till January just gone, so a long time. And then I've been getting itchy feet, haven't I? So I just see myself as working for myself. I see myself as that person and I'm always pushing myself for the next thing, the next thing. And I took another job role that I thought, maybe this will help me to advance my skills and my career, it'll give me a different look on things. And again, I was still feeling the same way. I was like, this just isn't for me. So with my husband's support again, he picked up the bum.
We're team your husband.
We like this, pick up the bum. He said, that's it now, like, I'm not doing this, like, just quit. And open your room. So I was like, what happened more about all that? And he was like, no, like, I'm just going to do it. So I did, I quit. And I opened up VHS social media.
Amazing.
So I can now help more businesses to thrive because my passion is sales. I love sales. I love the nature behind sales, which means sort of like looking at how people buy, the buying patterns, what makes people tick, what makes people go for things. I love that. And I was always really good at sales. And I remember the team used to say, if you can't sell it, Vicky will sell it, just give it to her.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, like we had a complaint with a cancellation and they would say, no, let Vicky deal with it first because they know that I'd be able to.
So you found your passion.
I found my passion, I loved it. And in return I was helping people to get the things that they wanted for the price that they felt like they wanted to pay. So it was all great. And going into social media meant that I could do that but through social media. So I was doing the same connections but without the face-to-face. So I was still speaking to people, getting, and I was still promoting work and I was creating all this content that really, persuaded emotion out of people and things. Exactly the same way I would have done with sales, but I was doing it online. And I was like, I need to do this for more people. I want to help more businesses that don't know where they're going with their self to do this.
You found
I found my calling.
Your niche.
So that's what I'm doing.
Amazing. So here's to any businesses that want some.
Not too many. It sounds like you're
quite
quite busy
actually.
just don't forget
Seems to have gone
about us in the midst of it because people, that's where.
If you want some sales, some lead generation, that's what you need. You just need the right content, the right strategy. Honestly, it's not that complicated.
And Vicky is your person.
I'm the girl.
But
I mean,
and I love it.
That'll be it now. You're gonna have like loads of people. Like.
I am working with some really fun things right now.
That's exciting.
I need to have a little nose because I'm doing some really fun stuff.
We'll share all your stuff on social media, but thank you so much for coming on. There's always these episodes that mean so much to me. So when Charlotte came on, her story was incredible. And this is one that I'll always remember as well. And I hope you know how incredible you are.
Thank you.
And I am so excited to buy a pink dress to give to you for the baby. Oh my God, it's so exciting.
I know, it's exciting. I feel like at the time, like people were coming up to me, like mums, new mums, like, I've read your story because it was in the paper, and you don't know me, but it made me cry. And now I feel like sharing the news that I'm having another one, hopefully one that'll make them smile.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you know what I always think? Through your hard times, you're an anchor now to inspire other people. That you know, throughout the hardest times, you can always choose different. There is different, and
Agreed.
even like with your, you know, your mental health's bad, you know, which a lot of people struggle with. There's still a way out, and I'm a big advocate for it. Is you can be at rock bottom, but I always say if anybody is struggling massively, you know, always reach out to us. You know, any of us, Zara, me, anybody, because you know, if you haven't got anybody, my DM's always open. So everybody's DM's open. So here's to Saturday. I'm about to go to work till 10 p.m. tonight. What you've got planned?
Chilling.
She
chilling
needs
with
to
my family
chill.
today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Zara's having a Sunday roast on a Saturday.
That's okay, Zara, we don't judge.
And thank you to Phoebe for recording. She's amazing in the background.
And thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.